Chilling tales for dark nights.
Want to make sure you never miss a Chilling Tales for Dark Nights video again? Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell to turn on notifications.
It's time to turn off the lights and turn on the dark.
Chilling tales for dark nights.
Good evening, and welcome to Chilling Tales for Dark Nights. I'm your host for this evening, Nicholas Goroff, filling in for Steve Taylor. Tonight's tale takes us into the kind of small town where the roads are quiet, the backyards are fenced, and the woods beyond them are so familiar that no one thinks twice about the sounds coming from the trees, until those sounds begin to change. What starts with a few strange howls in the night soon gives way to shattered lights, missing animals, frightened families, and the growing suspicion that whatever is moving through the pines is no ordinary predator. In a place where everyone knows everyone, the most terrifying thing of all may be realizing that something has come prowling out of the dark, and it isn't afraid of people at all. Settle in and dim the lights, because we're about to find out, and the show is about to begin. Before we get to tonight's feature, however, we'd like to thank our dedicated supporters in the Chilling Tales for Dark Nights patrons area. For just $7.99 per month, members enjoy ad-free listening, early access to new episodes, exclusive content, and full access to our complete archive, with discounted annual options available too. This means entry into a vast library of audio horror spanning more than a decade, with chilling releases and fan-favorite episodes reaching all the way back to 2012. To learn more or become a member today, visit chillingtalesfordarknights.com. Thank you for helping us keep the darkness alive, one nightmare at a time. Tonight's tale is written by Justin Vinbel and performed by Erik Peabody, with production by S.K. Brown. And tonight's performance offers a wonderful opportunity to revisit one of Erik Peabody's turns from our archives. Erik is, of course, the host and narrator of the Horror Hill podcast, now in its 14th season, so when tonight's story is done, be sure to seek out Horror Hill for even more of Erik's performances in the shadows. And now, without further delay, I present to you from author Justin Vinbel, It Came from the Pines.
Part 1. Smoke. The smell of burning wood wafted through the air on a chilly night in the small rural town of Pine Bend. Erik, a local fireman, was off duty that night and was far from disturbed by the rising smoke. It was his first fall here, and he loved the quaint town and serving its people. It was a breath of fresh air compared to back home in Jersey. "Ready for your next can?" asked the man sitting in the camping chair next to him. David was a tall, muscular man with short, dark hair and a well-kept beard. He had invited Erik to this men's night, he had called it. He stoked the fire pit that the four of them sat around. "He's probably not even finished with his first one yet, Dave," remarked a grizzle-faced man. Erik wasn't too fond of his southern drawl and how he abbreviated his words. "You know, Jack, he probably doesn't want to become an alcoholic, like you," said Brandon, David's brother, who was clean-shaven with his shirt neatly tucked in. Jack responded in kind by flipping the bird at him. Sure, Dave, I'd love another one. Do you have any pale? What the hell kind of fireman drinks that pale shit? Jack said with a grin. Knock it off, jackass, David said with an even bigger grin and a hearty laugh. All of the men started to follow David's example and began a chorus of laughter when a howl carried through the woods near them. There it is again. This is the third or fourth time we've heard it this month, said Brandon, with his head cocked to the left. I don't know what the hell that was, but damn if it isn't eerie, Jack exclaimed. You've heard that before? Asked Erik in surprise. Yeah, David and I sit out here every Friday night. We always hear noises in the woods from animals like foxes, raccoons, coyotes, and such. We've been near these woods since we were kids and used to explore them with our sister. Brandon replied to Erik's question. Jack took a long swig of his lager and crushed the can in his hand. You know, speaking of your sister, she's still trying to get me to go hiking with her around the bend. I promised her I would, as soon as I don't work a 60-hour week, exclaimed Jack. Ah, the life of a handyman, huh? Replied Brandon with his usual sarcasm. A wide smile cracked across Jack's hawkish features as if he had just thought of the best comeback in history. Beats selling cars to rich assholes, doesn't it? Brandon slumped back in his chair with a defensive grimace. It's just a joke, Brand. I don't really... Jack's sentence was interrupted by another howl. There was a visible look of unease on the quadri of men. All right, I think it's time to call it a night. The smoke keeps melting my eyes anyway, David said as he covered his face. Alex is probably expecting me soon anyway, said Brandon as he rose from his chair and stretched abruptly. Well, you guys want to make this a regular thing? Asked David. Sure, I had a good time. It was relaxing, for the most part, Erik replied with a slight nod. Jack departed with a "Good night, assholes," and went into the basement where he and his wife Anna stayed. David walked Brandon and Erik to the gate that led to the driveway. Drive safe, bro. Let me know if you have any trouble with that lemon, David said with what Erik's dad would have called a shit-eating grin. You'll never let me forget that one, will you? Asked Brandon, as if he already knew the answer. David just laughed and hugged his brother. After Brandon drove off, Erik asked, What's the joke about his car? Oh, that? Well, as you know, he is a car salesman, right? Erik nodded in response. My brother has always had a thing for sports cars. He always wanted a 96 Camaro, and one day our uncle offered to sell him his 96 Camaro. Old Brand jumped on it like a crack addict needing a fix. Erik let out a loud laugh. Oh, it gets better. You see, he sells luxury cars, and one day that 2018 Camaro comes to the dealership and he falls in love with it. He trades in his 96 for it and thinks he's got a great deal. After finding out that he traded it, I told him that 2018 was known to be a money pit. So, anyway, he had about 3 or 4 things break on it in the first year of having it. He hit several curbs because he can't see out of them. You get the idea that he had his rotor lock up on him. Erik nodded and waited to hear more. Last month he says to me, David, I finally got everything working right on this. David's mouth parted wide as if he was trying to contain an outburst of chuckling. The very next day he said that the alternator gave out and left him stranded at a Walmart. He called me at like midnight to come and jumpstart his car. I couldn't help but die laughing when I picked him up. David burst out in laughter, and Erik joined him. The two friends continued talking for another hour. Erik shared some calls he had gone on, both on the funny side and the morbid one. Man, I'm really glad we met, said David. Yeah, same. Thanks for reaching out to me after the service. I don't think I'd be as comfortable down south here without you and Brandon." Erik had just moved to Pine Bend in late June. It was October now, and even though the North Carolina weather was chilly, it was nothing compared to the frigid fall of New Jersey. Erik was glad that David approached him and shook his hand after church the previous month. Erik felt he was just reserved, introverted, as kids called it these days. He wasn't very good at making friends, and his wife, Emily, lovingly called him Lone Ranger. "Well, thank you again, Dave. I'll bring the beer next time, and some cigars, too." "That sounds good, man. Drive safe," responded David. Erik got into his old Ford Ranger and drove off down the long, deserted country road. David walked over to the fire pit, grabbed the poker and jabbed at the fire to smolder it. He watched the embers glow and dim rapidly and was amused by it. His amusement was broken by the same howl that met his ear twice that night already. The howl sounded much closer this time. It sounded like it was far off and deep within the pines. Tonight, however, alone in his backyard in the pitched darkness, he felt a sense of fright. The hair on his neck stood erect, like the tall pine trees surrounding his fenced yard. David was a strong and confident man. His pre-dawn hours were usually spent at the gym. He stood well over 6 feet tall and was an experienced hunter. Being spooked was something he seldom felt on any occasion. How cliched, he thought to himself as he felt like eyes were upon him. He decided to let the fire burn out naturally, opened the back door, and stepped inside his warm, well-lit home. "David, is that you?" Rachel asked as he entered their bedroom quietly. "Yeah, babe, it's me. Just coming to bed." "You were out there for a while. Did Brandon need career advice again?" "No, I was talking to Erik. I like him. Good guy." "Did Erik and Jack get along?" Rachel asked. "I don't think Erik likes Jack very much, but neither did I at first." "He's an acquired taste. Like that bottle of bubbly you brought home yesterday," Rachel said with a snicker. "Hey, it wasn't that bad. Besides, it was more about toasting to my success than anything." "True, but you know I prefer the fruity kinds." David sat on the bed next to his wife, who had been reading a book when he entered. "November is going to be the busiest month of my life," he said with a deep sigh. David ran a successful insurance business. He was so successful that this year he had to hire 6 new agents to help him get everyone signed up for open enrollment. He was expecting it to be his most successful year yet. "I'm proud of you. You deserve everything good. You know that," Rachel said as she held David's bearded face with one hand. "Maybe, but one good thing I don't deserve is you." He held the back of her brunette head, hair tied into a messy bun, and kissed his wife. Part 2. Eyes. David awoke with a strong urge to use the bathroom. Damn, why did I drink 3 beers? He walked into the master bathroom and relieved the pressure on his bladder. After finishing, he walked over to the sink to wash his hands and glanced out the window. He saw a glowing pair of yellow eyes. They weren't looking directly at him, but it seemed like they were trying to see into the yard through the gaps in the wooden fence. David stared at the eyes, wondering if it was a coyote or even a black bear. He hadn't seen a bear in these woods in over a decade, since he had been a teenager. He thought about how strange it would be to see a bear since he and Jack had been scouting out the woods for deer season. Surely they would have seen a sign of one between the two of them if it was nearby. The eyes shifted upward, towards David. The animal's and David's eyes were locked like a chest in the sea. He felt very secure on the second story of his brick house. After 10 seconds of staring, the thing turned away and ran into the woods. It was so dark that David couldn't make out any distinctive features. Something to check out in the morning, David thought as he let out a yawn. He crawled back into bed and quickly fell back asleep. The morning sun greeted Jack with radiant warmth, almost as if God had told him that today would be a good day. Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash boomed through the speakers of Jack's Chevy. He was singing along with it after it got stuck in his head the night before when Erik played it. Jack thought that Erik was all right, for a Yankee. Sure, he wasn't a good old boy like Dave and Brandon, but he was all right. He had good taste in music, which Jack was certain of. He strummed on his air guitar while steering the truck with his knees. He was on his way to install several light fixtures for a customer in North Bend, an area above Pine Bend. Jack was looking forward to the job. He had installed hundreds of light fixtures and could make a good profit for just an hour of work. When Jack arrived at the house, the homeowner greeted him with a firm handshake. "You must be Mr. Peterson," Jack stated as he shook the man's hand. "Yep, let me show you what I need done," he replied with a broad southern accent common to lifelong residents. Jack gazed at the house, a 3-story brick house with a metal roof. Mr. Peterson was a bald, clean-shaven, round man in his mid-50s. His image contrasted with Jack's lean body with shoulder-length blonde hair and a rough beard. This guy should pay pretty well. At least he's less likely to be a cheap ass, Jack thought to himself. Mr. Peterson led Jack to the side of the house that faced the woods. He pointed up at a broken light fixture. "We don't know what happened. Maybe some teenagers with too much free time. My wife came out and saw it this morning. She's pissed." The light fixture wasn't just broken, it was smashed. "Looks like someone threw a rock at it or smashed it with a sledgehammer," Jack exclaimed. "You're right. Probably the Shatner boys down the road here," replied Mr. Peterson, pointing an index finger to the right of Jack. "They must be the little pricks." Jack paused and stroked his bristly beard. He always wanted to remain professional when dealing with a customer, but his inner trailer park boy would slip out from time to time. Punks that stole my jigsaw the last time I worked around here." "Don't worry, my wife would have their racks if they did this," Mr. Peterson replied upon seeing the angered look on Jack's face. "You're not a bender, are you?" asked Mr. Peterson. Bender was the term used for lifelong residents of Pine and North Bend. Jack's Piedmont accent stood out ever so slightly from everyone else. "No, sir, from Virginia originally, about 2 hours from here." The rotund man smiled and nodded his head before speaking again. "We get a lot of transplants here from Virginia and up north, surprisingly. Folks always want to turn this place into a bigger city like where they come from, not realizing they came here in the first place because it wasn't that." Mr. Peterson chuckled. "They call us country folk dumb. To me, though, that seems pretty dumb of them. Anyway, were you able to find lights like this one?" He pulled out his phone and showed Jack a picture of the fixture he wanted. "Yes, sir, got 'em right in my truck." Jack walked over to his truck bed and got the box containing the new light fixtures. "Go ahead and change the ones on the other side of the house as well." "Yes, sir. I'll let you know when I finish." With that, Jack got out his ladder and got to work. He set up his ladder underneath the smashed fixture, and as he began to climb up, he paused and looked down to ensure his ladder was footed correctly. There was a bush to the right, and he noticed a small rock behind it. Curiosity got the better of him, and he climbed down and picked it up. It was about the size of his fist and spherical in shape. It wasn't a perfect sphere, but it reminded him of a snowball one would make, with all of its imperfections. Weird, he thought. It looked as if it had been purposefully rounded out. He placed the rock next to the ladder to show Mr. Peterson. After Jack finished the installations, he knocked on the front door. The door opened, and a teenage girl in a pink jumper stood there. "You looking for my dad?" she asked. "Yeah, would you mind getting him for me?" The girl turned around and called for her father. A few seconds went by, and no reply was sent back. "He's probably on the phone again. Our dog went missing last night. The idiot always runs away every chance he gets," said the girl. A moment later, Mr. Peterson came to the door and said, "Sorry, I was on the phone with the pound. Our dog is lost again. Do you have any pets?" Jack thought of the beagle, Ralph, who was Dave's dog. "Yeah, a beagle. He's pretty adventurous himself," replied Jack. "You didn't happen to see a black lab on the way in?" asked Mr. Peterson with hopefulness. "No, sir, but I'll keep an eye out for the pup. What's his name?" "Snape," replied Mr. Peterson. "You know, from Harry Potter." Jack accepted a check from Mr. Peterson and got back into his truck after shaking his hand. The truth was, he loved dogs. His wife Anna was more of a cat person, but Jack always wanted a German Shepherd. He had one dog as a kid. His old man got it for him for his 12th birthday. It was a mutt named Chop. Jack loved Chop and brought him everywhere he went in the rural town where he grew up in Virginia. Dogs reminded him of home and his youth. He was only in North Carolina because he had met Anna on a dating site several years prior. He knew she was too good for him, but she loved him anyway. He was a redneck with a temper and constantly battled against his love for the drink. His father had been an alcoholic who died of liver failure when Jack was only in his early 20s. It had been nearly 10 years since that happened. He really didn't like to think about it. He loved his old man, even though he had been an asshole most of the time. So was Jack, for that matter. He knew that Anna, a beautiful nurse from Winston-Salem, could run off with another man if she wanted. A man who had a new truck and a place of his own. For some reason, though, she stayed at his side, loyal and loving, much like Chop. Jack stroked his beard and turned on the radio. Country Roads by John Denver was playing, and Jack immediately began to sing along with it. "What the hell?" Jack said out loud. He turned down the radio and brought his truck to a stop. He put his Chevy into park and got out. He looked out of his driver's window to see a dog lying in a drainage ditch on the side of the road. The dog was lying on its side, nearly still, with its tongue sticking out and panting heavily. He noticed that one of its back legs was snapped and bent in the opposite direction. It wasn't the black lab, Snape, but a hound of some sort. Jack rubbed it behind its ears and patted its side gently. "What happened to you, bud? Car?" Jack spoke to it with a tender voice. He was stricken with the painful memory of his beloved Chop dying in his arms after getting hit by a dump truck. He felt deep compassion for the animal that appeared to be dying before him. Jack remained there for an hour until the dog passed on. He pointed the finger at frustrated drivers trying to get around his truck. "Rest in peace, bud, and may God give you all the deer you want to chase." Into the bed of his Chevy, Jack placed the poor hound. He picked up the dog very carefully while supporting its head. He wrapped the dog in a tarp and drove off home. Part 3. Fire. Sirens broke the silent night air in the town of Pine Bend. Erik was driving the fire truck this time and was navigating the streets well. "Turn here," his captain said as he pointed to Ridgeview Avenue. They had gotten a call about a woman whose kitchen was on fire. They arrived at the house on the corner of Pine and Oak. The firemen got to work putting the fire out. Thankfully, it hadn't spread beyond the kitchen. "Thank you so much. I was cooking dinner and only left it unattended for a few minutes," the lady said who had made the call. Erik could tell she was local by the way she spoke. "That's all it takes, ma'am. Just a few minutes and fire can spread. Lucky for you, the station's only a mile away," he replied as he patted the tall, rotund woman on the back to console her. "It's contained now, ma'am. Be sure to take some pictures for insurance as soon as the smoke clears, okay?" said the captain as he approached the woman. "I will. Thank you. Thank you all so much." She hugged the captain and Erik tightly. "Say, ma'am, what were you cooking anyway?" Erik asked to lighten the mood. Bacon for BLTs. My husband is a trucker on his way home from a long haul. I wanted to make him his favorite food." "I enjoy a good BLT myself, especially with a slice of American on it. That's the slaps," Erik said with a big smile while nodding his head. "I got distracted. There was some animal in our backyard. I thought it might be our dog, Remy. He ran off a few days ago," the woman explained while Erik and the captain listened intently. "There were eyes, you see. Yellow ones. It definitely wasn't my dog. I went outside to call for Remy and the animal ran off into the nearby woods. He's a hungry boy that never misses a meal." "How did he run away? Do you keep him outside?" inquired Erik. "Well, yeah, he was on that chain." She pointed to a long, rusty chain that lay on the ground. "I don't know how he did it, but he slipped his collar." Erik walked over to it, picked up the red nylon collar, and examined it, more so to be polite than to show any real interest. As he ran his fingers around the collar, he got a whiff of something foul. "Frickin' hell, that's rank," Erik said as he dropped the collar. There was some kind of residue on it. It seemed like it was dry, yet it still contained some of its musky odor. "That's odd. Remy doesn't smell too bad. We bathe him regularly. He loves it," said the woman. The captain reassured the woman that the fire was contained and told her to call if she needed anything. Erik got some hand sanitizer out of his first aid kit and generously applied it to his soiled hands. He had smelled a lot of nasty things in his career, but this odor made it on his top 5 list. Before the smell, he had been hungry and was looking forward to returning to the station to finish the lasagna Emily had made for him. His appetite now dissipated like the fire that he put out. Erik's lieutenant approached him with purpose in his step. "Erik, we gotta go. Some elderly couple locked themselves out of their house." "Okay, but what about—" "Team 2 will remain here, but we gotta go. It's only a few blocks. Come on." His middle-aged lieutenant sported a short, gray mustache with a shaved head. He had been Erik's mentor when he had first arrived in Pine Bend. Erik followed the lieutenant and hopped in one of the SUVs. What's the hurry, anyway? Erik knew the lieutenant to normally be a patient man and well-collected. This made him uneasy. "Dispatch said for us to hurry. Said that the couple was panicked and that something was in the woods behind their house, like a bear or something." "Are the cops coming too?" "Yeah, man. Dispatch notified them also and got a hold of animal control." Erik tried to relax as he laid his head against the rest. He had never seen a bear except in those documentaries where bears attacked people. They frightened him, if he was honest with himself. "The cops should take care of any bear. Don't worry, man. I don't like them either, but they are pretty common here," the lieutenant said, as if he were trying to convince himself as much as he was Erik. Within minutes, they pulled up to a single-story brick house with its porch light on. On the porch was the elderly couple that presumably had made the call. Erik and the lieutenant got out of the cab, walking toward the porch while the rest of the fire crew stood around the SUV. The couple remained on the porch, unmoved and shaking. The lieutenant greeted them and received no response. They just looked at him with deep fear in their eyes. Erik called for one of the other firemen to bring blankets over. He wrapped the blankets around the couple, and they seemed to relax a little. "You're safe now. The police will be here soon, don't worry," the lieutenant offered. The husband, who had a hunched back and Coke bottle glasses, pointed a crooked finger at the forest across the street. He held it there as he stared at Erik with eyes that said, "Go look." Erik grabbed the flashlight from his pocket and turned it on. He assured the man he would go check it out and walked off toward the tree line. "This is a job for a cop. I swear, if there's a bear over here, A pair of glowing eyes appeared before him. They were bright and burned like fireflies in June. Erik became a statue. The beam from his flashlight was fixed just below the pair of eyes. He wanted to raise it to expose the being that was standing less than 20 feet away. He remained still for several seconds, just staring into the amber jewels. "What is it, Erik?" one of the other firemen called out. Erik jerked up and felt like he had just woken up from a dream. He turned his head half back and responded, "There's something in the woods." When he looked back, the eyes were gone. He heard it walking away. It sounded slow, as if it wasn't concerned about Erik or anyone else nearby. He returned to the porch and assured the couple that it was gone. The lieutenant insisted that animal control and the police would be there shortly to ensure that the area was secure. Erik got out his lock-picking kit and unlocked the front door in a few minutes. The couple still remained silent. Paramedics arrived on the scene and addressed the couple. Erik and the rest of the crew climbed back into the fire truck and headed for the station. "Man, did you see the fear in their eyes? They were absolutely petrified," Erik exclaimed. The lieutenant replied detachedly, "I've seen that kind of fear before. Only once." He paused as if to see if Erik was interested. "Go on, sir," he replied. The lieutenant exhaled slowly and then started. "Before I lived here, I was a fireman on the coast. It was a small town just outside of a city, near the beach. We were having a quiet day at the station, just sitting around playing cards, when a call came in. Someone had gone missing during the logging job, and they needed us to help with traffic so everyone could get into the woods to investigate. They never found him." He paused and scratched the stubble on his chin. "About 3 days later, we were again called to the same lumber camp. We saw the paramedics carting a Hispanic man out of the woods when we arrived. His body was mangled and ripped up. We thought he'd had an accident with an excavator or a wood chipper. We found out later that the man had been attacked by something, mauled even. The game warden was there investigating and asked everyone to keep quiet about it. They said it was just a bear and didn't want the locals to get spooked. We didn't question it. We did our job and that was that. That game warden had a similar look of fear in his eyes as that elderly couple did tonight. It's a primal fear, a fear that you're no longer at the top of the food chain." "Jeez, man, that would have scared the crap out of me too," Erik replied. The lieutenant nodded slowly and kept driving. Part 4. Dark. David enjoyed splitting wood. It was both relaxing and invigorating to him. As he swung the axe, he thought deeply about Brandon and his financial issues. He wanted to help his brother get out of debt and pay off those credit cards. Brand was good at many things: cooking, talking to people, shooting guns, and being dependable. He was really only bad with finances. "Sweetie, do you want a cup of coffee?" Rachel called out to him from the kitchen window. Absolutely. That would be great if you made some extra for the guys. It was Friday night again, and he was looking forward to everyone gathering around the fire pit. After splitting half a dozen more logs, he went inside and looked in the fridge for a beer. Darn, no more lager. He hoped Jack had some downstairs. He remembered that Erik had told him that he was bringing some beer tonight. He got his smartphone out of his pocket and called him. Hey man, you planning on coming tonight? Asked Dave. Yeah man, I'm on my way now actually. Had a crazy day at work, replied Erik. Oh yeah? What happened? Well, it was pretty disturbing to say the least. A man in the woods apparently terrorized this family out in North Bend. The father was killed. Man, it was really shitty. Did they catch the guy who did it? Asked David with a hint of shock. Pine Bend and the surrounding area were truly a place where nothing ever happened. No murders, no crime. It was just a quiet, rural community. Nah, man, they didn't. The husband, too, he was... Erik paused, and David could tell that he was very disturbed by it. You don't have to say any more. Just get here and we'll enjoy some beers and you can get your mind off of it, okay? Erik agreed, and the two friends hung up. The news bothered David deeply. He and Rachel had one son, Timothy, who went to school here. Rachel worked 3 days a week at the hospital. She carried a gun. David made sure of it, but that didn't make him feel any better. He went into the garage at the front of the house, got the camping chairs, and set them up around the fire pit. Jack rolled up first and hopped out of his Chevy. Hey, Dave, you got any loggers? No, sadly. I was hoping you had some, replied David. Shit, you should have told me. I would have stopped at the gas station on the way. Jack grabbed a pale ale from the patio table where David had sat them down. Don't tell the firemen, okay? Jack asked as he popped the top and then took a big gulp. Erik arrived within an hour, and to David's surprise, he brought beer and cigars. He even brought lager for Jack. Where was Brandon? You guys get the fire going. I'm gonna go see where Brand is. Brandon was flying down the road in his 2018 Camaro. His wife, Alex, was texting on her phone in the passenger seat. I hope that the kids will be all right. I'm concerned that your mother's dementia is worsening, and I can't get a freaking signal out here, Alex stated worriedly in her Midwestern accent. Babe, they'll be fine. My mom still has her wits about her. I suppose the worst they could do is burn down the house if she falls asleep, Brandon replied with a grin. Don't even say that. She punched him on the arm. Where Brandon was sarcastic and light, Alex was serious and heavy. I'm trying to send her all the instructions again, just to make sure she doesn't forget. Babe, you need a night like this. Just you and the gals and some wine, he replied gently. Are you saying I'm tense? Probably because you're driving like a jerk. She punched him again in the arm. They were running late, and he hated being late more than anything. Alex hated it even more. He opted to keep quiet. If you hadn't been on your computer playing that stupid game, we'd already be there by now, she scolded. Brandon's work had been stressing him out. He really wanted out of the salesman position and wanted to move up to management or get a new career. Video games were a way to unwind, to let go of stress. His wife, however, was not fond of it, and sometimes he wondered if she even loathed him because of it. In her mind, the perfect man was disciplined and stoic, and spent his free time tending to things around the house. Brandon's father was a militant disciplinarian, and every day growing up, they had to follow a strict, rigid schedule. Fun was allowed, but only at the time allotted. She should have married his father. They came around a sharp curve, and woods surrounded the road on both sides. It was dark. Brandon picked up speed, and Alex began protesting. "Slow down your ass! There's deer on this road! Watch out!" On the road, a dark shape ran out in front of them. Brandon slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. The fender clipped the shape before it could clear the car. Whatever they hit felt big and heavy. "I think we just hit a deer," said Brandon. We? That was all you. Get out and make sure whatever you hit is okay." Brandon didn't argue. He opened the door, turned on the flashlight on his phone, and scanned the nearby road. When he didn't see any animal, he panned over to the front of his Camaro and saw that the driver's side headlight was busted. Great. Now Dave was going to have more to laugh about. He walked a few feet into the woods and looked around. When he was satisfied that everything was okay, he returned to the car. When he grabbed the door handle and began to open it, he heard a noise. It sounded like something was coming out of the woods behind him. Brandon turned around and shined his light where he had just come from. The light illuminated a large log flying in his direction like a missile through the air. With a loud thud, the log impacted the driver's door to his left, barely missing him and putting a large dent in the metal. He didn't even have time to think, and his body went immediately into survival mode. He threw open the car door and got into the driver's seat. "What the hell was that, Brandon?" Alex asked in a panic. Brandon was silent and was trying to focus on the task at hand. He put the car into drive and was about to press the gas when he saw another log in the corner of his eye. He had no time to react, and it penetrated the window and punched him on the left side of his face, causing his head to jerk to the right. He was instantly dazed and felt an immense amount of warm pain in his cheek and upper jaw. Alex screamed so sharply that her voice might have broken the window itself. Despite it all, Brandon felt a sense of luck. The window had softened the blow, and it could have been a lot worse. After a few seconds of stunning pain, Brandon pushed the log out of the window and pressed his other hand to his broken face. There was blood and bits of glass embedded under the skin of his cheek. He tried to flex his jaw but was unable to. It was stiff and disjointed. "Gotta get the hell out of here." He got oriented, lined up his foot with the gas pedal, and pushed down hard. He was shocked when the vehicle didn't move. That's when he felt it. The car's rear end was being lifted up by something. The rear tires just spun in place. He frantically turned the wheel left and right. He tried honking the horn again and again, but to no avail. Whatever had them was strong, stronger than anything that Brandon knew. Finally, after enough sharp rotations of the steering wheel, the rear end of the Camaro slammed back down and took off. Brandon was elated to be free, but it was short-lived. The car crashed into a large pine tree next to the curve of the road. Brandon's head spun like a hurricane in the ocean, and he felt nauseous and dazed. Still alive, at least. He turned his head to the right and looked at Alex. His vision was blurred by blood and haze. "Babe? Babe, are you okay?" he said slowly. Her head was drooped with her chin touching her chest. She nodded slightly, and Brandon felt a small sense of relief. He reached his right hand over and caressed his wife's head. "We'll be okay, babe. I just need to find my phone." She nodded faintly as her head remained hung. Brandon gently patted his right pocket where he always kept his phone. Not there. He checked his left side but only felt his pocket knife. Where is that thing? He frantically patted the area of the cab around him. The dizziness amped up with his increased movement, and he felt bile rush to his throat. He quickly opened the door and let it out on the ground beneath him. He remained with his head slouched for several moments just to ensure he was finished. That's when he remembered that they weren't alone. He slammed the door shut and looked around using his mirrors. He shifted between all three but couldn't see anything. It was just too dark. His investigation ended when he heard the jingle of his ringtone. His phone sounded close but not within grabbing distance. Frantically, he looked around and saw the faint glow. It was on the ground just outside his door. Must have fallen out when I opened the door to puke. He opened the door and reached for his phone. A wet grunt made him freeze. Brandon's eyes scanned the area but saw nothing. He wished, now more than ever, that he had brought his gun. Alex told him he looked too fat with it sticking out from his gut, and convinced him to leave it at home tonight. He swore that he would never go anywhere again without his pistol, if he made it out of this. His phone continued to ring, and he saw that it was his brother, David, calling. He snapped himself out of the freeze and grabbed the phone. His finer coordination had left him with adrenaline coursing through his body, and he was having trouble swiping to answer. Another grunt jerked his head away from the screen. This one sounded like it came from right beside him. With quick reflexes, he slammed the door shut again and tried swiping. Blood and sweat from his face had dripped onto the screen, and he couldn't get it to answer. He used his shirt to try and wipe it off, but it only made it spread more. He cursed aloud and wiped the screen on his pant leg. By now, the ringing had stopped, but if he could just make one call, he could get help. Another grunt caught his attention. Just astride outside his window, he saw a large creature looming over the car. It had burning yellow eyes that didn't blink. He stared at the creature, completely fixated on its gaze. The pain he had previously felt was overruled by a dread so deep that he couldn't breathe. The last thing Brandon saw was a large black hand coming at his face. Part 5. Haze. Where is he? David thought to himself. He tried calling again, but received no answer. As David walked over to them, Jack and Erik were stacking logs in the pit. Guys, I don't know where Brandon is, but I'm sure he'll be here any time. Let's crack a few cold ones and get this fire going. Hell yeah, I can use one after a day like today, said Erik. The three friends talked and sipped beer. As far as David could tell, Erik and Jack seemed to be getting along well. They laughed, told jokes, and shared stories from each other's jobs. Erik recounted the gruesome call he went on earlier that day. When he mentioned the name Peterson, Jack perked up from his relaxed slump. The Peterson family off of Young Oak Road in North Bend? Jack asked with wide eyes. Yeah, do you know them? I just did work for them earlier in the week. You said someone murdered Mr. Peterson? Yeah, the police seem to think so anyway. Jack slumped back in his camping chair and stared at the ground. He finished his beer by taking a large gulp and then sat it down on the patio next to him. He quickly picked up another one, cracked it open, and downed it with a few swallows. The Petersons are good people, at least from what I was able to tell, Jack said solemnly. They carried on the morbid conversation for several more minutes. All three men were concerned for their families. David got a phone call and walked away from the group. It was his mother, and she sounded hoarse. Erik watched David's shoulders drop with his phone. He watched as David hastily walked back over. "I've got to go. Brandon's been in some kind of accident. He's in the ER." "We're going with you, man," said Jack as he finished his beer and got up. Erik nodded rapidly and put on his coat. David notified Rachel of the situation before they climbed into his SUV and sped off. At the ER, David's mother informed them of what the police found. "A passerby stopped by what looked like an abandoned vehicle off of North Bend Drive. It was Brandon's car. They... Mrs. Schultz started to choke up. David grabbed her and held his mother tightly. "They said that it looked like an attempted murder." She began bawling into David's shoulder. "Oh, David, he was almost killed. My little Brandy." Mrs. Schultz continued sobbing, and David held her pressed to his shoulder. When she finished, she wiped her tears with her windbreaker sleeve and swallowed. "I bet it was that bitch of a wife of his. I never liked her. She always acted like she was the queen of the world and treated him like a servant." Brandon's 2 young children, Ryan and Rose, were sitting on the floor coloring. They looked up at their grandmother with worried expressions. "Mom, that's outrageous. Alex's family," replied David. "She wasn't there, Dave. She left with him to come to your house, but she wasn't in the car when the police arrived. I think she's guiltier than sin." A nurse in navy blue scrubs with brown hair tied in a ponytail came out of the operating room and approached David and Mrs. Schultz. David recoiled at this and shook his head. Jack stood by Erik, and the two talked quietly. "The injuries to his head appear to be severe, probably a concussion, and the doctor thinks his jaw is significantly fractured. He's going into surgery now. We'll keep you updated." "Thank you, ma'am. Please do," replied David. The nurse returned to the OR, and Mrs. Schultz found a nearby bench to sit on. Jack approached David and asked, "Do you want to pray, brother?" "Yes," was his only reply. David looked into Jack's eyes with tears in his own. Erik joined in on the huddle, and the 3 men prayed. Mrs. Schultz rocked back and forth while holding her arms. After the men finished, David walked over and sat beside her. The surgery took several hours, and it was around midnight when the doctor came out to inform the family. He was in green surgical scrubs and sported a steely beard. "Well, he's stable as of now. He had some swelling in his brain, but we were able to relieve it. His jaw was also fractured, and he may have trouble talking for some time, and he'll definitely need to have it wired shut. Whoever did that to him must have been one mean SOB." "What do you mean by that?" asked David. "The kind of trauma he sustained I only see from car accidents, like the ones where a pedestrian is hit by a bus, to be frank. He's very lucky to be alive." "When can we see him?" Mrs. Schultz asked with urgency. "After he's transferred out of the ICU, ma'am. We need to keep an eye on him for just a little longer." The doctor gave a reassuring smile. David turned to Jack and Erik. "You guys can go. It's really late." "Hell no, man. We got your back. Ain't that right, Erik?" Jack said as he gave a firm pat on Erik's back. "Yeah, whatever you need, man," Erik replied. David responded with a nod and a smile. "I need to call Rachel. Can you guys keep an eye open for the police? My mom said they'd probably come by to get some information from us." Jack nodded. "Do what you gotta do, bud." With that, David walked out of the ER and phoned his wife. "I wonder if the same asshole that did in Mr. Peterson did the same thing to Brand," Jack speculated. "Maybe, but isn't it suspicious that his wife wasn't in the car with him?" Erik replied. Jack scowled at Erik intensely. "Nah, man, shove that kind of talk up your ass. Alex is a little high-strung, but she ain't a murderer." Erik recoiled at Jack's scolding and hastily walked outside. What an asshole, Erik thought as he pulled out a thin cigar from his jacket. He pulled out his Bic and lit it up. The first drag seemed to take the edge off immediately, and he sighed. He saw David in the parking lot, pacing back and forth while on the phone. He thought to call Emily and tell her what was going on. When she answered, it relaxed him further, and he felt a sense of elation. Her gentle voice caressed his ear, and he almost forgot to say hello. "Yeah, sweetie, I'm here. Sorry, it's been a long day," he explained. "I can imagine. I got your text earlier. Sorry I didn't respond. Work has kept me busy," replied Emily. Erik talked to his wife for another 10 minutes and then departed with the usual "I love you" to the Milky Way and back. He knew it was corny and cliched, but he didn't care. Emily was the best thing to ever happen to him. He had gone on several dates from the app, but never clicked with anyone until he met her. She stood a whole head and a half shorter than he and wore a green summer dress with a lemon tree print decorating it. Her brown hair sat upon her bare shoulders, and she smiled with teeth as white as the clouds above them. He looked carefully into her hazel-colored eyes and knew right then and there that she was the one for him. He drove 10 hours from New Jersey to have a picnic with her at a place called Reynolds Garden. The sky was big, and the place was filled with lush greenery and flowers. That day was bright, but its radiance paled compared to Emily's. Only 3 months passed before they were engaged, and 3 months after that was the wedding. It was the happiest time of his life, and he still felt the warmth of joy from it. They were coming up on their 6th month of marriage, and he still hated being away from her. He encouraged her to come with him to the Friday night gathering, but she was shy. He didn't mind that about her. After all, he too was on the meek side. If David had not approached him in the first place, he probably wouldn't have any friends in Pine Bend. David finished up his phone call and approached Erik with a worried look. "I've got to get home. The police are on the way to the house and I need to be there," said David. "Rachel said that Ralph was going nuts about something outside." "I understand, man. What about the police? Do you think they might come here to ask us questions?" "Between Jack and my mom, I think they'll be able to get enough info." At David's reply, Erik walked closer to David and put a hand on his shoulder. "Well, at least let me go with you to give you some company." "Sure, I appreciate it. Let me go tell them that we're leaving." After that, the two men departed for David's home. "Ralph? Come on, Ralph. Come get a treat." Rachel tried for the 10th time to coax the beagle back inside. She waved the dog biscuit in his direction rapidly and held a flashlight in her other hand that was focused on Ralph. "Come on, boy, please," she said, more frantically. Ralph just kept barking and pacing back and forth along the fence. It was in his nature to pursue squirrels and other animals, and he commonly alerted them of deer and foxes. This time was different, though. They could always call him back with food or treats. Rachel grabbed her phone off of the kitchen counter and dialed her husband again. David picked up after the first ring. "Hey babe, is everything okay?" "I can't get Ralph back inside. I've tried everything. How far are you?" "Still 10 minutes out, but coming as fast as I can." "Okay, drive safe. I'm sure the police will be here any time." She hung up and returned her attention to the dog. Shining the flashlight upon him revealed that he was staring at something through the fence. His tail was curved upward, and his snout was pointed straight with his left paw raised. Rachel knew this was the pointer position, and he was fixated. She was never one to panic or be easily afraid of anything. She was a backpacker and an ER nurse who had dealt with intense situations before. This, however, combined with a murderer at large, worried her. She took a deep breath and stepped onto the back patio stairs. She called his name again, but Ralph remained stern. "Just go out and grab him." She walked cautiously toward her dog. A feeling of immense doom began to wrap around her tightly. She paused. "Come on, Ralph, please come on." She took several more careful steps. "Let's go, boy! Come on!" she shouted, this time as loud as she could muster. This got the beagle's attention, and he jerked his head to the right to look at her. "That's it, boy, come to me." Ralph's tail began to wag, and he turned toward his owner. "That's a good boy." A grunt sounded from behind the fence. The noise was animalistic and wet, like that of a horse. Ralph looked back, and Rachel froze. "Go on, get out of here, go!" she shouted with authority at whatever was on the other side. Ralph began to bark and run parallel to the fence. "Ralph, please come inside now!" She began to speed walk toward her dog, who was less than a dozen yards away. Ralph ceased his barking and stopped running. He cocked his head and stared through tiny gaps in the fence. All was silent. She was nearly within arm's reach of Ralph. "Come to me, Ralph! Come to—" Rachel stopped her advance and noticed what the beagle was looking at. She saw part of a face in a small slit about 5 feet off the ground. Her flashlight showed something human-like, but it was off. It had a glowing yellow eye and a full beard that covered most of its face from what she could tell. It didn't like the light and bore its teeth and growled. Rachel slowly turned her head toward Ralph and made a kissing noise to try to bring him in. The dog's nose was only inches away from the thing behind the fence. Rachel jumped in fright when the wooden panel split in two and a black fist pushed through the break. Ralph wailed as a broken piece of wood hit his nose. He ran away with his tail between his legs. The fist tried to retract, but it was pinched between the boards. Another grunt was made, and it sounded angry. Rachel watched hairy black fingers grip the upper board and rip it outward with ferocity, and its fist was free. On instinct, she turned around and sprinted into the house, slamming the door behind her. She grabbed her phone and began to dial David. "Ralph," she thought. She couldn't leave him out there, no matter how much she feared for her own life. "Think about Tim. I can't leave him here alone either." She bounced on her heels while debating her course of action. "Tim is upstairs asleep. He'll be all right." She unlocked the door and put her hand on the sliding handle. "Everything okay?" a female voice croaked behind her. Rachel jumped, but was relieved when she realized it was her sister-in-law. Anna stood there with runny makeup and swollen eyes that indicated she had been crying. Her wavy brown hair was in a messy bun, and she wore matching sky blue pajamas. "Hannah, someone's trying to get into the backyard. It might be the murderer." Anna had just woken up, and her memory was foggy. She had plenty of wine already before discovering that her brother had been attacked. "Shit, where are the boys?" asked Anna with widened eyes. "Dave is on the way back here. I think Jack stayed to support your mom." Anna felt a twitch of guilt. She wanted to be at the hospital with her brother, but Jack insisted that he go instead. When Anna drank too much, she became belligerent. "I need your help. Ralph is out there and is probably injured. I need you to stay here and watch my back while I go and get him." "Hold on a minute. There's a murderer in the backyard and you want to go out there? Hell no, you have a kid," Anna protested. "He's in danger and—" "Look, sis, I'm just drunk enough to go do this myself," Anna said, pointing to the flashlight in Rachel's hand. "Keep that light on the yard and I'll find him." "No, you aren't going out there either," rebutted Rachel. Their argument ended when they saw Ralph walk up to the door. His nose was bloody, and the area around his face, which was usually white, was stained red. He pawed at the glass in the sliding door and whimpered. Rachel let him inside, and he waddled in with a terrified posture. She shut the door quickly and locked it. Anna tended to Ralph, whose nose was still bleeding. Anna wiped off the beagle's nose with gentle hands and a paper towel. Ralph yelped in pain despite her light touch. Rachel felt foolish when she remembered they had new floodlights. Jack had installed them a few weeks ago. She flicked them on, and the backyard was instantly illuminated. It was empty, to her relief. Anna stemmed the bleeding on Ralph's nose while Rachel kept watch. Both of the women perked up when they saw headlights penetrate the windows on the front of the house. Rachel ran outside and embraced David before he could get out of the driver's seat. She felt safe and secure in her husband's strong arms and remained there for several moments. After she let go of him, she explained the ordeal. David grabbed his Glock 19 pistol and flashlight from his glove box and investigated the backyard. Erik followed him with a pocket flashlight of his own. After finding the backyard empty, they returned to David's wife. "Did the police not show up?" asked David. "No, I guess they're still on the way, but it's been a half hour," she replied. David called 911. "Hi, my wife called to have some officers come and take a look in our backyard because our dog was acting like someone was trying to get in. No one has arrived yet, and someone—" "Sir, all of our officers are responding to another case. We'll send someone out to you as soon as possible," the woman on dispatch replied. "Someone was trying to break into our fenced yard. They injured our dog." "Is that someone still there?" asked the dispatcher. "No, I think they're gone." "Okay, lock your doors and windows and remain inside. We'll get someone out there as soon as we can." David did so, and then grabbed his hunting rifle and sat vigil in the kitchen. He encouraged Rachel to go to bed and for Anna to sleep in the spare room upstairs, where she would be less exposed versus the basement. With a kiss on the cheek and a long hug, his wife crept up the stairs and went to bed. Anna gave him a hug, and then she went to bed herself. David sat poised upright in the wooden dining chair with his rifle across his lap. Ralph lay at his feet. Erik was in a chair, drinking coffee next to him. The injured beagle let out a whine every few minutes. "Don't worry, buddy. We'll get you to the vet tomorrow," David said while petting him on the back. The two men sat in the dark, wordless, until Erik decided to break the silence. "Man, when I moved here, I thought it'd be a little laxer." "It usually is. Pine Bend is a peaceful community. We get rednecks blowing up tannerite and setting the forest on fire every so often, but that's it," replied David. "Occasionally we'll get some theft or break-ins, but nothing violent. The people here just want to chew their tobacco and drive around big compensators." Erik grinned and asked, "What's a compensator?" "A Ford F-350 with a front lift kit, the most popular truck in the Pines." The two men talked into the early morning hours, and when the sun rose, they walked outside to check out the backyard in the daylight. "Man, whoever that was did some major damage to your fence. Looks like someone took a sledgehammer to it," Erik stated while examining the broken fence panel. Rachel said it was a fist that someone punched through it. Really? We must have frickin' Mike Tyson after us then. Erik touched the broken panel and recoiled when he felt slime. Ah, damn, this nasty crap again. He wiped his hand on his pants. Is this musk or something that dogs leave around? I've never had a dog, but this is probably why. David used his index finger to gather some of the slimy residue. That definitely didn't come from our dog. Back at the hospital, Jack and Mrs. Schultz were invited to see Brandon. He was awake, but delirious. His head was wrapped in layers of bandages. His whole face was swollen beyond its normal size. The few inches of exposed skin were deep blue. Small white bandages decorated his cheeks and nose. "Hey, buddy, how are you feeling?" Jack asked with a smile. Brandon gave the slightest nod and blinked at Jack rapidly. You're okay, Brandy," Mrs. Schultz said in between tears. She rubbed the top of his head gently. Brandon continued to rapidly blink at Jack. "What, do you need a tissue?" Jack went into the bathroom and grabbed some tissue paper. "Here you go, bud." Brandon turned his face to the right, away from Jack's tissue offering. Once Jack brought the tissue away, Brandon nodded his head upward and tried to speak. "I think he's trying to tell us who did this to him," exclaimed Mrs. Schultz. Oh. "Alex? He said Alex! I knew it was that bitch!" Brandon slowly shook his head, and tears fell from his eyes. "No. Jack leaned in with his ear a few inches from Brandon's mouth. "No, Alex. No, Alex." "No, Alex? Do you mean not Alex?" Brandon nodded slowly. "Oh shit, that means that Alex is in trouble." Brandon nodded, and more tears came down his face. Later that day, several dozen volunteers from Pine Bend and North Bend combed the woods in search of Alex. Up until Brandon revealed the truth, Alex was a suspect, and the police were now concentrating on searching for her in the towns. Jack led a team of 4 men in the eastern sector of the woods where Brandon was found. David led a larger group that split up and searched various other areas. Erik was part of a search and rescue squad made up by the fire department, who concentrated their search in the northern sector of the forest. Rachel, Anna, and the children went to stay with Mrs. Schultz, but periodically visited Brandon. The volunteers searched all day, but didn't come up with any leads or signs of the missing wife. David and Jack returned home with deep feelings of defeat. Jack grabbed 2 beers from the fridge and put one next to David at the kitchen table. He sat across from David, popped the tab open, and took a gulp. David leaned forward, put his elbows on his knees, and rested his face in his hands. "Let me get that for you." Jack popped open the can and left it in place on the table. "Thanks," David said meekly. Jack nodded, got up, and turned on the TV in the kitchen corner. "What's the local news channel?" he asked. Channel 7, I believe." The screen showed a local anchor named Sidney Herrick, who always did the evening news report. The headline read, "Murder in the Pines." Pine Bend is the ideal rural and safe community for families and the retired. Residents are accustomed to sleeping soundly with their doors unlocked. This peaceful community has been terrorized to its very core by a murderer. Police hesitate to call him a serial killer as his attacks seem random. He is believed to be a large man, over 6 feet tall and weighing about 250 pounds. Police are speculating if the murderer is also responsible for assaulting Brandon Schultz and for the disappearance of Alex Schultz, Brandon Schultz's wife.
She said it was hairy. Its hand resembled a gorilla more so than a human,
David stated, while staring at the gray wall next to the TV.
It?
Asked Jack.
That's how Rachel described it. It. She is certain that it wasn't a man.
So what? A monkey from the zoo got out and's been terrorizing the good folks of Pine Bend? A real-life King Kong going on a rampage, Jack said with a smirk.
I don't know, man, but I have a feeling about going on an evening trek, said David.
Shit, right now?
Yeah, let's see if we can find evidence of what it was.
Let me finish my beer and then I'll grab my rifle, Jack replied with a hint of reluctance. The men grabbed headlamps, strapped hunting knives to their belts, and slung their rifles over their shoulders. Jack had a lever-action .30-30. It was his favorite deer rifle and most prized possession. David brought his .308 hunting rifle with a $600 night vision scope that he bought after the year's financial success. He shouldered it and looked through the scope.
I've yet to use this. I suppose now is the perfect time to try it.
I haven't played manhunt since I was a kid. This should be fun, said Jack. The two men went out the back door and through the patio. They opened the gate leading to the driveway, and the motion sensor floodlights turned on.
Geez, I'm still not used to having lights on this side of the house. Not that I don't appreciate you installing them, said David while shielding his face.
Them some bright ones. Probably should also install some in the back now that we've got something running around here. They walked to the edge of the woods and stared into them. The forest had looming darkness that felt foreboding. The chilly wind slapped David's cheek, and a chill shook his body.
I'm gonna grab my hoodie from the garage real quick.
David walked away, and Jack pulled a pouch of cigars out of the breast pocket of his flannel. He lit one up and took a drag. After a few more puffs, David returned.
Can I have one?
He pointed briefly at Jack. Of course, it'll boost your nerves. David took a long pull and sighed.
Let's go.
The crunch of leaves was an unwelcome companion as they weaved around the trees. They were experienced hunters who knew how to walk stealthily over the fallen foliage, but tonight they hoped that they wouldn't meet their quarry. They both knew that what they were attempting was foolhardy and even dangerous. Paternal instincts moved their feet, a sense to protect their families just as the men that came before them had. This drove them onward. Step by step, they trekked further into the dark forest. The woods were loud with birds of the night and other critters. After walking a mile into the pines, they stopped and rested on a fallen tree.
Maybe we should wait here, see if anything comes to us, Jack proposed.
David pulled out a water bottle from his single sling backpack and took a sip.
I was thinking the same thing.
The two men sat on opposite sides of the tree with their backs facing toward one another. They sat alone in their thoughts, with the wind gently whispering around them. David thought of his brother and how he wished he was with them. Jack thought about Anna and how horrible he would feel if she was the one missing. Another hour went by without a sign of anything. They began their journey back to the house.
Sun'll be up in a few hours, man. We can come back out then. Maybe get a few hours of sleep. What do you say? Asked Jack.
David had his head slumped toward the ground in a sign of frustration and defeat. He did not respond to Jack's question. They continued on in silence until a deep howl shattered it.
That sounded like it was near the house, David exclaimed. Coyotes never hang out that close. Let's double time. The leaves crunched ever louder beneath their boots as they ran with rifles in hand. When they arrived back, they found it lonely and seemingly untouched. Shit, man. I gotta quit smoking, Jack stated in between gasps for air. David walked in front of the floodlight to get it to turn on. When it didn't, he waved his free arm in a jumping jack motion. Jack also tried to trigger the sensor. Damn, might have to check the wires. He turned on his headlamp and illuminated the light fixture. It was busted. The glass on the sensor was shattered and hung from exposed wires. Jack's neck hair stood up as he remembered the Peterson's smashed lights. Something was here, Dave, for sure. David stared at the broken light and then looked at Jack. Let's get inside. They walked past the open garage door and up to the front door. David got his key out and unlocked it. He thought to himself, I can't believe I left the garage door open. Idiot. Want me to close the garage door? Asked Jack. No, I'll get it once we get inside. With the flick of the switch, the foyer lit up and highlighted the various nature paintings that were on the walls. Why don't you call the police while I care for the garage? Requested David. Jack nodded and got his phone out. David sat his rifle on the kitchen table and checked the back door. Still locked. He walked around and ensured all the kitchen and foyer windows were secured. Windows were fine. Once he was convinced that the house was locked down, he opened the door leading into the garage from the kitchen. An odor of the foulest kind assaulted his senses. His eyes immediately watered, and his nose recoiled at the violating scent. It smelled musky and rotten. It reminded David of a deer's gut sack. He covered his nose with his right hand and reached over to turn on the light with his left hand. He jumped in fright at what the light revealed. To his left stood a massive, hulking creature in front of his SUV. It stared at him with hungry eyes as it breathed slowly. David could see its hairy, barrel chest rise and fall, and it seemed calm. Gorilla was the closest comparison his mind would allow him to conclude. It took a wide step towards him and reached out its black hand to grab David's face. He recoiled and let out a yell. The attack was swift, and all David could see was a mass of fur before he was knocked off his feet. Jack was on the phone when he heard the yell. He grabbed his rifle and ran across the house to the garage. When he looked through the door, he saw what looked like an animal on top of David. David was yelling, punching with one hand while the other was lodged in between the teeth of the creature. It rained down hammer-fisted punches on David's face and chest with loud thuds. Jack leveled his rifle and pressed the safety off. The creature took notice of Jack's presence and halted its attack. Its jaws were unclenched, and David retracted his hand and brought it to his chest. Jack's finger rested on the trigger, but he could not bring himself to pull it. The beast scowled and showed its yellow teeth. 4 canines that were significantly larger than the incisors jutted from its maw. Its breath hit Jack's nostrils, and he gagged. David was still underneath, and his face was swelling and enclosing over one eye. Blood leaked out from his clearly broken nose. "Shoot it!" David yelled. "Shoot it! Shoot it now!" Jack's hands felt like iron ingots that his rubber tendons could not control. He willed the gun to be fired, but his body did not act. The beast returned to the attack and rained down more blows upon David.
He focused on shielding his face as yells escaped from his lungs. "Shoot the bastard! Shoot it, come on!" The words echoed through Jack's mind. After so many blows, David wasn't defending himself anymore. He just lay there on the cold concrete, still pinned by the creature. Seemingly satisfied with the stillness of its victim, the creature stood up and scowled at Jack again. He took a step back, with his rifle still pointing at the beast. It returned its attention back to David and reached down and grabbed his leg. It heaved David onto its back with a strength that Jack couldn't even comprehend. David weighed at least 220 pounds and was solid muscle. This creature made David look small and weak. It turned towards the garage opening, took 3 long strides, and was out. Jack felt life return to his body again, and he ran out of the garage in pursuit. He could see the hulking shape of the beast with David on its shoulder as it entered the tree line. He shouldered his rifle and aimed low. The bang of the shot deafened his right ear, but he cocked the lever on his gun and fired again quickly. A yowl of pain sounded from the beast, and Jack knew that he had hit it at least once. It shrugged David off, and his body impacted the ground with a thud and crunch of leaves. Jack cocked his rifle again and raised the barrel to the creature. It stood there, grunting like an angry bull. Jack's finger was stuck on the trigger guard as if glued there. "What the hell, man? Shoot it. Pull the trigger. Do it. You've got a clear shot." Jack's mind was locked up, like a bolt wedged in between 2 gears. The beast picked up a fallen branch and heaved it at Jack. His legs felt like they were made of concrete. All he could do was wince as the branch traveled toward him. It impacted his upper left thigh, which was nearer to the beast. Jack yelled as crippling pain traveled up his pelvis and stomach. "A bastard hit my mother-frickin' testicles! I'm gonna kill him and turn him into a rug!" Jack fell to one knee while clutching his crotch with his right hand as his left held the rifle. Moments passed, and Jack recovered from the low blow. He heard the beast pick David back up and carry him further into the woods. He walked to the edge of the woods and turned on his headlamp. The trail was easy to follow. He must have hit it for sure, because there was both blood and disturbed leaves. "You're gonna make a great rug, you son of a..." Jack's thought was interrupted by the sound of rapidly crunching leaves. He scanned the area with his light and tensed up as the sound drew closer. With a quick turn of his neck to the left, he revealed a wall of black hair closing in on him like a tidal wave. Jack was helpless as the beast plowed into him. His rifle was flung against a nearby tree. His head spun, and the darkness carried him to sleep. Part 7. Alex. The wind was picking up as if a storm was blowing in. Alex listened as it brushed the treetops. It was pitch black, and the moon wasn't out. She was injured, but everything had been foggy since the attack. She was lying on her back in cold mud, surrounded by pine trees. A powerful shiver traveled throughout her body, and she sobbed. Alex was absolutely terrified and felt the hollowness of being alone. She held her arms and rubbed them in an attempt to warm up. "Ow!" she yelped. It wasn't but an hour after she woke up that the first raindrops fell. Pain rippled down from her left shoulder. It must have been broken or dislocated. She wept silently to herself. She knew that she wouldn't survive lying in the mud. "Come on, Alex. Get up." With as much strength as she could muster, she sat upright. Doing so made her dizzy and nauseous. She used her right arm to push herself up on her feet and then stood. Searing pain burned through her right leg, and she collapsed. This yell was higher pitched and louder than the yelp she had let out earlier. Tears stung her eyes as she clutched her injured leg. The pain was only comparable to birthing her 2 children. She had never been injured this badly.
Brandon, help me. Please, babe, help. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I've been horrible to you. Please help me.
She whimpered as the rain picked up and chilled her even more. Images of the monster played like a slideshow through her head. Its teeth and horrible breath were fresh in her mind. She recalled waking up several times, only for a minute or two, to see it eating something near her. The cry of some animal also rang in her head. It sounded like a dog, but not like any dog she had ever heard before. It sounded distressed, scared, and in pain. Her gut wrenched as she recalled it. Cold raindrops pelted her. She needed to get under some cover lest she succumb to the elements.
Alexis Geraldine Schultz was found dead deep within the pines. Her grim battle for survival ended when the cold rain slew her.
That's what she would write if she was the character in one of her novels. She had the grim feeling that she would never pen another book. With great care, she rolled her hips to the left and brought her right leg over the other. Heavy breathing followed her movement, and she braced for pain as she allowed herself to face the ground.
Shit!
She whimpered loudly. The slightest movement caused agonizing pain to the injured leg. Slowly, and with wincing pain, she crawled on her only good arm towards the nearest tree. Her head throbbed, and her nausea got worse with every foot. Only the night before, she was on her way to have a nice evening with her sister-in-laws, and she had complained the whole time. Now, she would give anything to sip wine and laugh with them, even to be with Brandon again. Why was she never content? Was it because she was unhappy with her marriage? Was it that she regretted settling down? No, Brandon was a patient man, and more than she deserved. She thought of her kids and how she wanted to continue watching them at their sporting events. She thought of going to the Outer Banks as she and Brandon had always discussed. That felt like a distant dream, but she wished more than ever to be there right now. The tree's shelter was only a few more feet in front of her, and she pushed herself harder. A loud shriek speared through the rain, and Alex stopped. Instincts took over, and she froze while controlling her chills. Whatever made the noise was close. She prayed that nothing would find her. The disturbance of leaves informed her that something was closing in. She held her breath as she felt the looming presence of the monster standing above her. It nudged her side with its foot and grunted. Even in the pouring rain, Alex could still smell the horrible stench that it gave off, and did everything she could to not gag. The beast stopped nudging her as if satisfied that she was asleep. It turned around and walked towards a fallen tree. Alex turned her head ever so slightly to monitor it. She watched as the beast squatted down and crawled under the pine tree into a cluster of broken trees, like a nest or a den. Several minutes passed, and the beast emerged with something in its hand, dragging behind it. It grunted, took 2 wide steps over to a tree, and sat under it with its back resting against the trunk. The object it was carrying was black and furry. Alex knew it must have been an animal, maybe what she heard earlier. She started to shiver again as the rain picked up even more. The cold mud passed through her skin and surrounded her very soul. She had never been so miserable in her entire life, nor so afraid. How was she going to get out of this? Was she going to be a meal like whatever the beast was eating? She cried silently as she prayed for rescue from this awful place. Some time passed, and Alex fell asleep from the exhaustion of fear. In her dreams, she was back with her family in her warm house, watching a movie on Friday night with Brandon and her 2 children. She walked into the kitchen to get the popcorn and grabbed a bag of Snickers to share during the movie. She was smiling and felt warm and cozy. The feeling vanished when the wooden floor rose to greet her face, and she could feel her feet being removed from under her. An agonizing, sharp pain shot through her legs, and she awoke screaming. The beast was dragging her by her injured leg. This made her feel angry more than scared, and she cursed at her captor and threw sticks and other forest debris at it. The feeble assault had no effect, as it seemed more like an annoyance to the burly creature. Alex grabbed an exposed root and held on with everything she had, but the beast's strength, combined with the agonizing pain, caused her grip to relinquish. She was powerless to do anything about it, wherever it took her. One crack of bone and a sharp twinge of pain ended her waking state, and pleasant dreams welcomed her again. Part 8. David. David awoke after impacting the hard ground where the creature had decided to drop him. His head and face throbbed with the worst ache he had ever experienced. David didn't know where he was, but he was certain of a few things. It was raining, it was cold, and he was injured. His face felt numb, his left hand was badly mauled, his right eye was swollen shut, and he was soaking wet. The creature walked off, leaving David alone. He waited a while to ensure the creature was gone, and with careful movements, he stood up and scanned the dark woods around him. He could see and hear nothing but the sounds of rainfall. Clouds covered even the moon. He and Jack had hunted or scouted every inch of the forest within 10 square miles. This part of the woods was unfamiliar to him. David's pocket vibrated, and it startled him. He was quickly relieved to find that his phone had just received a text message. The creature hadn't destroyed it, but it was wet, and the screen wouldn't unlock. He wiped it on his sleeve, but that too was drenched. He used the minimal screen light to scan the forest floor to look for something dry. A fallen leaf under a tree would have to do. He used the crispy foliage as a paper towel and wiped away as much water as possible. Hunching over his phone to protect it from the rain, he unlocked it and read the message. It was from Erik and read, "Hey man, my shift ends at 6. Where are you?" David noted the time. It was 3:37 a.m. It had been 1:30 a.m. when they had returned to the house after trekking. That meant he must be fairly deep within the woods. He texted back, "Deep woods near home. Was attacked. Please help." Shortly after David sent the text, the phone rang with Eminem's Slim Shady playing loudly. David silenced it quickly and prayed that the creature didn't hear it. He swiped "Answer" on the screen and quickly brought it to his ear. "Erik, it's not human. I'm injured and I don't know about Jack. I'm still determining where I am. Please send..." "Slow down, man. Explain it to me as clearly as you can. It's hard to hear you," replied Erik to David's frantic speech. David paused, wiped fresh droplets from the screen, and returned the phone to his ear. No one will believe this, but I need you to believe me. There's a damned Bigfoot out here, and it may come back any time." Erik was in disbelief, as anyone would be in this situation, and it showed in his reply. "How badly are you injured, Dave? We can get to you pretty soon if you tell us where you are." "Erik, you've got to believe me!" David yelled as the creature tackled him to the ground. Erik listened to the sounds of the brutal assault. He could also hear the beastly grunts and growls of the thing that was attacking him. David yelled in a combination of horror and defiance. "Dave? Dave! Hang in there, buddy. I'm bringing help." David was lying face down and covering the back of his head with his hands. The creature was punching his upper back and roaring loudly. All David could do was protect his head and try to breathe as the air in his lungs was taken from him. He knew he needed to fight back. Could he, though? This creature had enormous strength and was much larger than he was. He knew that he had to try at least, for he could feel his ribs cracking and breaking. David decided to stop screaming and remain still. After a few seconds, the creature ceased its attack. It stood up, stared at him, and let out a grunt, seemingly satisfied that it had rendered David dead or unconscious. It turned its back and walked away. David did not move until he was certain that the creature was gone. He looked at his phone to see the screen shattered and distorted. Damn it. He then heard his attacker make a strange call. It was a whooping sound. Another whoop sounded as if in reply to the creature. He fell back down and feigned unconsciousness. Is it communicating? With what? The creature returned to him, grabbed his leg, and began to drag him. He placed one arm under his face to protect it from the scrape of the cold, leafy ground as he was pulled across it. His other hand searched for a rock or stick to use as a weapon, but then he remembered. Strapped to his belt on the right side was his hunting knife. He used his free hand to pull it out of its sheath and held it with an ice pick grip. He, however, was in a terrible position to attack the creature. His back popped and shifted with every foot that he was dragged, and it took extreme willpower not to express his pain. "Hey, you giant phallus! Turn around and fight me!" David yelled out with as much bravado as he could muster. The creature immediately responded and dropped David's leg. He took the opportunity to roll over on his back and arch his knees defensively. It towered over him, poised to attack, and then paused as if taking note of the knife. It seemed to consider a strategy. To David's chagrin, the creature bent over and picked up a large branch that was as thick as a baseball bat and as long as the creature was tall. It snarled at David and looked to be working itself into a frenzy. With two powerful arms, it smashed the branch against a nearby tree and broke it in two. The creature held the remaining half like a club and turned back to David. He knew he was about to engage in primal combat with a monster that outmatched him in every way. He also knew that this might be his last few moments on Earth, and he intended to live them well. "God, give me strength!" he shouted aloud as the monster closed in on him. The monster dealt the first blow. The club came down with a solid thud upon David's right knee. It was immediately painful, but this was no time to anguish. David kicked his left leg, but his foot only met air. Before he could attempt another kick, the monster swung the club horizontally at his face and made contact. David heard the fracture of his cheek, and blood filled his mouth. The strike had nearly knocked him out. It made him angrier than anything else, like the creature had insulted him and shown him disrespect. Adrenaline coursed through David's body, giving him power and the will to fight. The creature pulled the club back for another swing while David barrel rolled to the side. The club impacted his hip and all movement was stopped. White-hot pain flowed through David's leg and lower back. Consecutive blows rained down on his arms, which shielded him. Strike after strike bruised and bloodied his forearms. A loud cracking sound was heard when a nasty blow hit his elbow. David yelled in agonizing pain. The mugging stopped when the creature dropped the club and stood still. Only heavy breaths revealed that it was still standing there. David was relieved when the attack stopped. Even though he was in tremendous pain, at least the assault was over. Or so he thought. With a loud roar, the monster picked David up by his battered forearms and tossed him laterally. He landed hard in between two trees. The knife was still in his hand. Somehow, he had still managed to hold a firm grip on it. Before he had time to do anything, he was picked up again and thrown further in the opposite direction. The rain had halted to a drizzle, and the moon could be seen through the treetops. David lay on his side, dazed and aching all over with a chorus of pain. There was no way he could take on a creature like this. This was surely a monster. He remained still as he waited to be grabbed again and was perfectly content letting it finish him off. It would mean an end to his agony. No more throbbing pain, no more unbearable cold, no more fear. If the monster would do him a final courtesy and end his existence. As he closed his eyes, he thought of Rachel. She loved going to Reynolds' garden to walk in the evenings. David would often pick her up from work, and they would walk around the botanical garden and talk of future plans, like where they would visit and what financial investments they would make. They discussed starting an online business selling children's books and clothing. He had a good life insurance policy, and Rachel could do anything she wanted with the money. Tim could use some of it to start a business of his own or go to college when he came of age. He thought of Jack and the brotherhood they shared. Even though they were only in-laws, their bond was strong. He thought of Brandon and how they would prank people around the neighborhood when they were kids. One time, David was caught putting a rubber snake into a mailbox. The homeowner caught David on their security camera and had the police come. They seemed annoyed for being called for a prank like that, but gave David a talking to anyway. When David's parents found out, Brandon took full responsibility for the prank. A full week grounded. No TV, no Game Boy, no Pokemon cards with friends. Brandon was always like that. He'd get them into trouble, but he would always be there to bear the consequences alongside him. He was a good brother and needed David to return the favor. Alex was still missing. She could be here as far as he knew, and Brandon was badly injured in the hospital. David was out here with the creature, and he wasn't going to give in just yet. He grasped the cherry-handled knife firmly and listened for the creature. Its steps were nearly silent. It moved with such stealth that David only knew it was near when a stick snapped. His back was facing it, and he gambled that it would pick him up again. With stillness like a crane in the shallows, he remained unmoving. He struck when he felt the creature's oily palms touch his lower leg. Blindly, he swung his right arm around and plunged the knife into the creature's flesh. He couldn't see where he stabbed, but judging by its reaction, it must have been in a good place. It bellowed in pain. He heard it stumble backward and the blade released from its flesh. David mustered adrenaline-fueled strength and stood. He could now see the creature in the moonlight. The emotions on the creature's face bore anger, much like he would show in an appropriate situation. Its eyes stared directly into David's. It was like Goliath stood before him. Instead of a slingshot, he had a knife. The beast advanced a small, limp step, clearly injured. It snarled and huffed like a bear. David tried to raise the knife, but his arm felt like a dead weight. He attempted to step back, but his leg, too, was impossibly heavy. What the hell? I'm paralyzed. The creature was now in arm's reach of David, and it raised one powerful hand above its head. This was it. He stood powerless before the hulking monster and closed his eyes. A whooping call from afar broke the creature's attention, and it turned its head. David felt strength return to his limbs, and he lunged, with the knife tip pointed at the beast's face. By simply extending his arm upward, he drove the blade into its eye socket. It roared in pain, even louder than before, and held one hand to cover its eye. It used its other arm to flail at David, but he ducked beneath it. Again and again, he fervently jabbed the creature in its face, neck, and torso. It backpedaled, but David pursued. Now it was powerless to fight back. The creature's hide was tough and muscular, and he felt like he was stabbing a tree. However, this did not deter him, as he was hell-bent on killing this creature. He would be satisfied to at least wound it enough for him to get away. After a couple of dozen stabs, he was exhausted and fell back onto a tree. The creature stumbled and moaned as it distanced itself. He thought about chasing after it, but decided he was too injured to risk another hand-to-hand match. Another whoop reminded him that there was another creature out there. With quick strides, he limped away from the grove. Part 9. Jack. The bright beam of a flashlight awoke Jack. Someone was kneeling above him, examining his eyes. "Get the hell off me," Jack grunted. "Be still. I need to make sure you don't have a concussion." Jack felt nauseous and disoriented. He noticed it was still dark and soaking wet. He saw two men standing above him. One he recognized as Erik. "This is my lieutenant, Alan. He's here to help," explained Erik. Jack slowly stood up with Erik's help and gave him a nod of appreciation. "That big bastard got David. We have to go after him. Some big monkey-looking bastard," said Jack angrily. "You're talking about a Bigfoot, right?" asked Erik. "I don't know what the hell it is, but I do know that I shot it and we have a blood trail to follow. I don't care if you believe me or not. I know what I saw. Give me your flashlight." Erik handed Jack the light, and he scanned the forest floor around them. He saw a splatter of blood on a tree stump and nodded. "There it is. Now let me find my gun and my headlamp." Jack recovered his lamp and his rifle. He was pleased to see that even though the lever action was thrown against a tree, it was still in one piece with no visible damage besides a scuff on the forestalk. "That furry piece of shit is gonna pay for this. I just polished it too." Jack scanned the woods with the headlamp and then turned back around. "We're gonna need some more firepower and a dry shirt. Wait here." He went into his basement apartment and returned a few minutes later, holding two more guns and sporting a green flannel. He handed the 12 gauge to Alan and a short rifle to Erik. Alan took the shotgun and pointed it at the ground and opened the chamber, inspecting it. Erik looked uncomfortable as he held the weapon. He kept it at arm's length from his body and treated it like an angry cat that wasn't happy about being picked up. "You've never shot a gun, have you?" asked Jack. Erik shook his head. "Well, you better have the shotgun then. Easy to hit something when you're a beginner," Jack said as he switched the weapons. "Now, do you all know the 4 universal firearm safety rules?" "I do," answered Alan. "And?" Jack responded. "Never point the gun at anything you don't plan to shoot. Treat every gun like it's loaded. Know your target and what is beyond it." Alan paused to try to remember the last one. He snapped his fingers as he remembered. "And keep your finger off the trigger." Jack smirked and nodded. He was impressed, as most folks in Pine Bend owned firearms, but very few seemed to grasp the basics of safety. "Do you know what you guys are getting yourselves into? Does he know what we know?" Alan answered Jack's question with a slow nod. "I don't know for sure what it was, but when I talked to Dave on the phone, I could hear something attacking him," responded Erik. "And why the hell did you waste your time with me? Let's go get him!" Jack exclaimed. "Remember, keep your finger off that trigger and don't point it at us. I'd rather you not have it, but we need as many guns as possible to take this thing down. It's a big bastard." Erik huffed, annoyed at Jack's remark, but he was right. Erik grew up in Atlantic City in Jersey, where hunting was something that piney people did. He spent his youth at the beach with friends and enjoyed getting disco fries on the boardwalk. His only knowledge of firearms came from Call of Duty. He was definitely out of his element here, but David needed his help. "This thing have a safety?" Erik inquired. "Yes, that red button next to the trigger guard. Red means dead." Jack pointed to show him. "You'll need these." Jack brought out a handful of green shotgun shells from his breast pocket and handed them to Erik. He showed him how to load and pump the shells to ready the weapon. He also gave each man earbuds to protect them from gunfire. "Remember, do not point that at us and keep your finger off the trigger. I got it, man," interrupted Erik. "No need to be an asshole. I want to make sure we don't kill each other. We're in for a long morning." The 3 men entered the woods with Jack leading the way. Erik and Alan held small flashlights and walked single file behind him. They walked a mile, and then another. Jack was one of the best hunters in Pine Bend and had tracked wounded deer many times before. This blood trail, however, came to an abrupt stop next to a creek. Jack kneeled down and looked around the creek, but saw no more blood. "Maybe we went the wrong way," Alan suggested. "No, this is definitely the way it came. That last spot was only 15 feet away." "The blood probably clotted," Erik stated. "Yeah, probably. We're going to have to look for tracks. Going to be a pain in the ass with the darkness. It's already hard enough to track with the dense leaves during the daytime." "That sounds like it could take too long. Dave could be dead by then, if he isn't already," said Erik. Jack recoiled at Erik's statement. This Yankee from the city was going to have a better idea? "You think I don't know that, shithead?" Erik was angered by that and took a step closer to Jack with his chest puffed. "I'm the shithead? Me? You're the asshole? You've been a dick ever since we met. What the hell is your problem?" Jack stared at Erik with a shocked and angry expression. "Do you want to do this now? 'Cause I'm pissed off enough to do it," Jack yelled back with one fist held up like a boxer. Alan inserted himself between the two men with the rifle pointed straight up. "Don't test me, man. I don't have any beef with you," Jack said. "Calm your ego. This isn't going to help us find David," Alan replied, trying to defuse the situation. Jack leaned his rifle against a tree and took a fighting stance. "Get out of my way, fireman." "No," Alan said defiantly. Jack tried to push Alan aside, but even though he was a few inches shorter than Jack, he outweighed him by 20 pounds and planted himself in place. The two men grappled while Erik shouted. The brief scrap ended when Erik approached and hooked Jack's jaw, causing him to fall to his knees. Jack felt rocked. His head spun, and all the fight within him went to rest. He held his jaw and began to sob. After a few moments, the hot-tempered redneck stood up with his shoulders lowered and head bowed. Erik and Alan looked at each other, puzzled. "I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry about my temper. And truth is, Dave is only missing because I couldn't kill that thing. I had my sights fixed on it and I couldn't pull the trigger for some reason. I tried and prayed that I could, but I couldn't. I had a chance to save him, and I failed. I failed! Now he's probably dead all because of me!" Erik put a hand on Jack's shoulder, and he stood tall, wiped the tears from his eyes with his flannel sleeve, and began again. "He's my best friend. Hell, pretty much my only friend. We have to find him. I'm your friend too, man. Together we will find him," Erik said. The trio gathered their guns and continued their hunt. Part 10. Fight. The ground was soggy and cold, but David was too focused to let it bother him. He was prone behind a fallen tree and watching the creature eat. It was sitting with its right side facing him. The early morning was too dark to see exactly what it was eating, but he reasoned it was a deer. Loud smacks and crunching were the only sounds he could hear. It ate carelessly and tossed the gnawed bones around the tree. David had carved a spear out of a young tree branch. He had the 8-foot-long weapon laid next to him. His plan was to wait until the creature was done eating. Then, he would emit a call and have the creature investigate. When it got close enough, he would attack. Surprise would be his advantage, and the creature would be lethargic after its meal. That's how other mammals were. As he watched it eat, he noticed that it was smaller than its counterpart. Its frame and overall size were less imposing. He needed to find out where the other one went. He speculated that it was mortally wounded with the number of times he had stabbed it, especially the thrust to its eye. He had waited a while, not far from the grove where he had fought the creature, and had waited to see if something would come near. When the forest remained quiet, he decided to head in the direction of the whooping call that saved his life. He now laid near what he believed made that call. Even with his injuries, he was still an experienced hunter and managed to creep up on the feasting creature carefully. It wasn't too long before it had finished and laid under the branches of the fallen tree to sleep. David grabbed his spear and carefully got into a crouching position. He anchored the blunt end of the shaft into the ground, with the point at a 30-degree angle. He had seen this done in movies, and the idea was that the animal you were hunting would use its weight to impale itself on the spear. He had no idea if it would work. He decided it was time and let out a whoop. The creature immediately sat up and looked around. He did it again, this time a bit louder, and it looked in his direction. amber eyes, like burning coals, looked back at him. He remembered when he had first looked into similar eyes from his bathroom window. "That's it. Come over. Better yet, run at me." He couldn't hold the pose for long. His hip was badly bruised and possibly fractured from the savage fight with the larger beast. With calculated breaths, he readied himself for the attack. The creature lumbered towards him, more curious than cautious. Standing up, it was no taller than he was, maybe the same height. His confidence grew as it got nearer. Firmly gripping the spear, he thrust towards its face. With keen reflexes, it leaned back and growled, showing its blood-stained teeth. He stood up and jabbed at it again, but it swatted the tip away like a cat batting an insect. David reoriented the weapon and advanced carefully. The creature took wide steps in retreat. He yelled loudly, and it responded with more growls. He thrust into its right shoulder, causing it to stagger. The creature now looked more frightened than ferocious. It wore a look of panic. A cry emitted from its mouth, like a plea for help. David felt a hint of compassion for the creature. It seemed to be a juvenile that hadn't learned the ways of nature. "Go on! Get out of here!" he shouted as he thrust at it. A brutish roar burst through the forest, and he froze. The other creature was on its way. This appeared to encourage the juvenile as it advanced near him. Within moments, he could hear the monster crashing through the forest, pulling aside all in its path. Like a freight train, he saw its moonlit silhouette barreling towards him. He knew that it would be impossible to stop the monster. He dropped to the ground with quick thinking and even quicker reflexes. The charging beast tried to slow down, but ended up stepping over him. David closed his eyes and hoped that playing dead would work as it did before. To his horror, it did not. The beast roared and beat its chest. It picked him up by his wrist and clamped down on his forearm with its jaws. David felt the skin give way as the sharp canines hit the bone. David screamed so loudly that the juvenile covered its ears. The creature chomped on his mangled limb. He heard the cracking of the radial bone and felt the warm rush of blood. He thrashed and hit the creature with his other arm, doing everything he could to fight back. It snatched his free arm and raised it to its mouth. He smelled the warm, putrid breath of the monster as it licked his skin. The tongue was rough like sandpaper, and he could feel the skin tearing where his gray hoodie sleeve was rolled up. His knife was still attached to his belt, and he reached down and touched the handle, but could not grasp it. The tendons were weak and sore from the mauling hours ago in his garage. With booted feet, he kicked at the torso of the beast. It disregarded his attack and ripped out a chunk of meat from his forearm. He yelled even louder than before. He was being eaten alive, and he couldn't stop it. It was almost like the beast chose to do it this way, as revenge for his actions. "Hey, you son of a bitch!" a voice shouted from nearby. David turned his head and saw the light of a headlamp shining brightly like the North Star, a true beacon of hope and a promise that help was here. A loud gunshot echoed in the air and was followed by several more. The monster dropped David and turned to the juvenile. It cried out as if to rally the smaller creature to retreat. Another burst of gunshots rang out, and the juvenile yelped and ran into the thicket. The bigger creature had taken a few hits to its body. Enraged, it roared and charged toward the trio. "Shit, here it comes! Unload on the SOB!" Jack ordered. Bullets and pellets collided with the creature's torso. Some exited the back and zipped past David's head. The beast kept advancing and the volley kept coming until the mighty freight train had crashed. Before them, lying face down, was a creature that, until today, none of them had believed in. "Did we kill it?" asked Erik, shotgun shaking in his hands. "It's not moving, but I better make sure." Jack pulled a 9mm out of his waistband and emptied 4 casings into the creature's head. The 3 men approached David. He was lying in the fetal position, cradling both of his bloody arms and shaking rapidly. Erik and Alan got out a first aid kit and began rendering medical care. "These bite wounds are nasty and need to be cleaned right after we staunch the bleeding," said Alan. The 2 men applied pressure, with each of them holding one arm. Jack stood guard and slowly scanned the headlamp at the surrounding woods. He stopped when a metallic glint reflected back at him. He walked up to it and picked it up. It was a small circular dog tag on the leafy ground. It read, "Snape, 127 Young Oak Road, North Bend." Shit. Poor boy. You never made it home, did you? He looked around the area and felt sick to his stomach. He felt loathing at the idea of finding a dead dog out here. With a careful movement of his light, he searched around the fallen tree. What is the... Hanging from a long branch were 6 carcasses. 1 dog, 1 cat, 2 fawns, and 2 raccoons. They had been roughly skinned and held up their hind legs using small, thin vines. The dog was only a partial carcass, its legs missing and hanging from its bottom. Jack grimaced and yelled to the firemen, "You boys are gonna want to see this!" A rustle of leaves scared Jack, and he swiveled, rifle at the ready. He didn't see anything, but his heart beat heavily. "We should get him to a hospital. We've done everything we can for him. This bite could get infected pretty quickly," replied Erik. Jack remained still. Fear had taken a firm hold. The woods were silent, aside from a gentle breeze that animated the foliage. With keen ears, he listened for anything. Footsteps, breathing, or just the faint sound of a woodland critter. A low moan reached him, and he perked up. It sounded like a person. "Hello?" he said aloud. "Is anyone out here?" He heard the moan again and scanned diligently. "Help, please," said a weak, feminine voice. Jack cast the light upon a pale hand with dusty blue nail polish. He got closer and saw a tattered, dark green sweater adorned with white maple leaves. He confirmed it was Alex when he shone the light upon her short, auburn hair. "Shit! Alex, are you okay? Guys, Alex is over here! Come quickly!"
You've just heard It Came From the Pines, written by Justin Vinbel, performed by Erik Peabody with production by S.K. Brown. And for those of you who enjoyed Erik Peabody's performance tonight, don't forget to check out Horror Hill, where Erik serves as host and narrator, now in its 14th season. It's a perfect way to continue your journey through the macabre after tonight's descent into the pines. And a wonderful chance to hear even more of Erik's work from across our network. Thanks for your support, for listening, and most especially for keeping me company in the dark. If you haven't already, please consider following Chilling Tales for Dark Nights, leaving us a 5-star rating or review, and sharing the show with a fellow fan of the macabre. You can find even more terrifying tales at creepypastastories.com, and stay up to date with Evil Idol 2025, our ongoing annual voice acting competition, and all our latest releases by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Memberships are available now at chillingtalesfordarknights.com, where for just $7.99 per month you'll receive ad-free listening, early access, exclusive content, and entry to our complete audio archive. With discounted annual options available, and a vault of nightmares and dark delights extending all the way back to 2012. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok. And as always, thank you for spending part of your night with us. And now, fellow lover of the macabre, I'm afraid our evening together draws to a close. You've been listening to Chilling Tales for Dark Nights. Until next time, I'm your host, Nicholas Goroff, filling in for Steve Taylor, reminding you to turn off the lights and turn on the dark. Sweet dreams, listeners. Sweet dreams.
Chilling Tales for Dark Nights.